Hello and welcome to Not Very Scary Stories. This episode will have 2 stories from the internet. Be sure to leave a sub, follow, or whatever you can on whatever platform you're on. Also, be sure to leave a review so people will know to listen in as well. I'd like to thank you guys for the support thus far on all the platforms you can find us on, including YouTube. I'd also like to remind everyone that if you have any scary stories or experiences you'd like to share, email me at notveryscaryent@gmail.com and tell me how you'd like to be credited. I'm Zenith Dark Sky, and I'll be your host tonight. Enjoy. This first story was posted by user/BGCookie on r/Ghost Stories, titled, My Scary Experience I Won't Forget. The house I grew up in, my family and I, believe was haunted. We had a lot of odd things happen, and many of our guests would see or hear things without any mention from us about the creepy occurrences. It wasn't uncommon, and for the most part didn't feel malicious. One night, though, I felt terrified from my experience. I was about 16 or 17 and was laying in bed trying to sleep. I was having trouble sleeping and usually sleep in pitch black. The house itself wasn't old, but was very creaky, and it could be loud when it settled at night. So I heard creaking and at first didn't think anything of it, but it sounded like there was someone standing outside my room. I got up and checked, but no one was there. I brushed it off as the house settling and went back to bed. Then I heard a creak in the corner of my room. My room was set up with the top of my bed against the wall and my bed stuck out, so there was free space all around my bed. I again didn't think anything about the creak. A couple minutes later, though, I hear another, and then a couple minutes later after that, another. The thing was, though, that the creaks sounded like they were slowly traveling around my bed. I got up, turned my lights on, and sat on my bed for like 10 minutes. Not one sound. I get up, switch my lights off. The creaks start again. It sounded like there was someone slowly walking up from one side of my bed and then back around to the other. I heard no footsteps, but the floor of my room creaked a bit where you were standing on the floor, and that's what it sounded like I was hearing. I got up and switched on the light, switched twice more. Both times the creaks would stop. It also sounded like the creaking was happening faster. After probably an hour of this, I almost fell asleep with my light on and decided, fuck it, I'm turning off the light. This is just in my head, and if it's not, I'm too tired to deal with this shit. It was like 2 a.m. I turn off my light. The creaks continue, but I ignore them. I was almost asleep when I swear it sounded like a child's voice saying, "Hello," in my ear very softly. I was half asleep when this happened, but my heart started to beat fast. I told myself this was a dream, and it just felt realistic because I wasn't fully asleep yet. It sounded so real, though. A couple minutes passed, and I didn't hear the creaks or anything, and was just starting to convince myself that it was a dream, when in the other ear, louder than the first voice, I heard a really deep voice whisper, "Are you scared yet?" I jumped from my bed in one leap towards my light switch and turned it on. I was freaked the fuck out. I slept with bright lights on all night after that. Maybe I hallucinated because I was scared? I don't know, but I never had anything happen like that before or since that, and it was 10 years ago. Still creeps me out when I think about it. This next story is an older story from Creepypasta and the Creepypasta Wiki, titled, The Girl in the Window. New year, new school. It's really nothing new for me. My family moves a lot. The school itself seems pretty normal, as do all the students and teachers. Or so I thought. You see, there's this one hallway. It's got the library and a few hardly used classrooms in it. That always makes me feel really uncomfortable, even before I start hearing the rumors about it. I always try to shake the feeling off and tell myself I'm just being paranoid until, of course, one of the most popular rumors ends up being true. There's a girl who you can see sometimes. See staring out into the hallway from the window on the library's door. No one knows who she is, but there are about as many different theories as there are people in school. The first time I see her, I nearly have a heart attack. She's exactly like people describe her. A blonde girl wearing a hoodie with the hood pulled up, shadowing her eyes and the whole upper half of her face completely. The lower half of her face suggests an expressionless stare aimed straight at the wall across from her, but I can still feel her eyes burning holes through my skin. A shudder runs through my whole body, and I hurry to my next class. Weeks later, and I've gotten used to seeing her. She's got no effect on me anymore, and I don't even remember she's there most of the time. She also hasn't budged an inch since the first time I've seen her, and I'm convinced she's completely harmless. So now I'm on my way to my next class, and I happen to be passing through her hallway. "Won't you join me?" Hardly anyone ever goes down this hallway unless their next class is on it, so I jump a little and turn around hoping to see who it is. No one's there except the girl in the window, so I shake it off as my imagination and continue walking. "I'm so lonely." I turn around again, still no one. Only now the girl in the window's lips are twisted into a toothy smile. I feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but I try to continue to my next class. "Where are you going?" The voice is beginning to sound slightly annoyed with me. I walk up to the library door and look the girl in the window dead into where I think her eyes are. "What do you want?" I demand, slamming the side of my fist against the window. "It's lonely in here. Won't you join me?" Just then I hear a teacher's voice behind me. "Get to your class, young lady." I spin around and glare at the teacher for a second before I start walking down the hallway. He heads back to his classroom and I creep back to the library window. She's still there, still smiling. "Come on," she says. "We can be friends." "I'd rather die," I snap, regretting it instantly because she could probably arrange that. "No, you wouldn't." Her voice has become almost a growl. She raises her hands to the window and I'm surprised to see them actually go through it and grab my wrist. "Come here. Join me. Join me. Join me." With every sentence she jerks my arm toward her, pulling harder each time. "Join me. Join me. Join me." Her hood falls back, revealing black hollows where her eyes ought to be. I let out a scream and pull against her as hard as I can. "Stop fighting. Join me. Join me. Join me." At this point, she sounds almost like a dying cat, and her voice only becomes more horrifying as she repeats her words. "Come on. Quit fighting." I continue screaming and pulling myself away with all my strength, but everything goes black before I can break free. When the darkness fades, I find myself standing in the library looking out the window at the hallway. I can't seem to leave my spot, and I have little desire to for some reason. Over the next few hours, a handful of kids make their way past the library. None seem to notice me except for one blonde girl with dark eyes who stops and looks at me. Her lips curl up into a twisted smile.